What is that ticking sound? Can you hear it? Tick, 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 tick. I don't know how effective a speaker I'm going to be today with that ticking sound going on, but I'll try my best to block it out. Alright, this isn't going to work. You can hear it, right? How can you not hear it? Tick, 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 tick. Welcome to the world of misophonia. In short definition, it is the hatred of sounds. WebMD defines misophonia as a disorder in which certain sounds can trigger emotional or psychological responses, in which some people may describe as unreasonable given the circumstances. People with misophonia may describe it as when a sound drives you crazy. Their reactions can range from anger and annoyance to panic and the need to flee. This disorder is sometimes referred to as selective sound sensitivity syndrome. Whatever you want to call it is fine, because I call it real. I have it, albeit mild, but my mom has it bad. Today I'll be leading you through 4 main subdivisions. First, I'll be talking about how misophonia can affect the genders differently. Then I'll be moving on to some emotional responses and a story about how my mom may or may not be clinically insane. Then I'll be talking about medical terminology. And then finally, I'll be giving you some pro tips on how to help your fellow misophonic. Symptoms of misophonia can appear very early in childhood, somewhere between the ages of 9 and 13. Misophonia is not selective between the genders, but is more common in females. The website misophoniainstitute.org reveals results that shows out of the 310 people surveyed, 50% male and 50% female, 18.6% of females were diagnosed with misophonia, while guys were right behind at 11.6%. Now, guys, don't start pointing fingers saying that girls are picky and girls are super sensitive, because that's an easy way to get yourself in trouble. An article published on Taylor and Francis Online explores the differences in the ways that males and females hear. Females, in general, have a greater hearing sensitivity and a greater susceptibility to noise exposure at high frequencies. Guys are better at sound localization. Girls can hear it, guys can find it. People with misophonia are affected emotionally by common sounds, usually sounds made by other people and usually sounds that people often don't pay attention to. Some examples include the sounds of breathing, yawning, and chewing, which creates a fight or flight response which can trigger anger and the desire to escape. Misophonia is little studied and we don't know how common it is. It affects some worse than others, which can lead to isolation as people with this malady try to avoid their trigger sounds as much as possible. Additionally, okay, hang on. Is someone chewing gum? Because I can hear someone chewing gum. So please, for me, would you just spit it out? Thank you. Where was I? People with misophonia often feel embarrassed about their condition and don't tell their healthcare providers. And often these healthcare providers haven't heard of misophonia anyways. Nonetheless, misophonia is a real disorder, one that seriously compromises functioning, socializing, and ultimately mental health. My mother has a serious case of undiagnosed misophonia. She cannot eat in the same room as my dad, brother, and I. God forbid I crunch ice or eat chips or wiggle my foot while lounging on the couch. We're at risk of serious bodily harm do I purchase or even think of purchasing sunflower seeds. Any squeak or rattle in the car will cause the dashboard to take a severe beating as she tries to stop the sound. Water dripping from the shower head, my dog licking his paw, and even the sound the ceiling fan makes when the room is quiet all set her off. She cannot even go to the movie theaters because of the crunching of popcorn. Even the sound of breathing can cause serious and real anxiety. The simple sound of chewing creates an instant fury. Gum is unequivocally off limits. Forever. But she is not alone. The website misophoniainstitute.org reveals the possibility that 1 in every 1,500 people are diagnosed with misophonia. By this statistic, misophonia is not a rare disorder, but rather a rarely known disorder. The takeaway from this is that misophonia is actually much more common than originally thought. The article Misophonia an Overview discloses that there is no standard diagnostic criteria. As of 2018, it was unclear whether misophonia should be labeled as a condition or as a symptom. The article What is Misophonia, published by medicalnewstoday.com, reveals that there are no treatments or medications that have been developed to help with. However, some people with this condition have come up with their own coping mechanisms, such as wearing headphones and listening to music, wearing earplugs, sitting away from people when dining out, and even talking to a therapist. The same article states that telling someone with misophonia to simply block out, or just ignore their trigger sounds is similar to telling someone with depression to simply snap out of it. In addition to a number of emotional responses, physical responses have been reported as well, such as an increase in pressure throughout the body, muscle tightness, no doubt from an attempt at suppressing their anger, and even increases in heart rate and body temperature. Interestingly enough, 52.4% of the participants in these studies could be diagnosed with obsessive compulsive personality disorder, or OCD. So, how do you live with a misophonic, other than very carefully? Educate yourself about the disorder. People living with a misophonic need to understand that this is a real thing, one that is not a behavioral choice, but rather an issue in brain wiring. Showing some empathy and understanding will help. Understanding what their trigger sounds are and trying to avoid them as much as possible will provide significant relief for the misophonic. Sitting down as a family, I suggest not at the dinner table, and discussing ways to reduce the misophonic's exposure to their trigger sounds will prove useful. And above all else, recognize that this is a real thing. They aren't crazy, and neither is my mom. Thank you.